Hi everyone, I'm Molly and welcome to Goodie Gumdrops. Today I am making a birthday cake for my daughter and I'm using my selfie stick because she is usually the one that videotapes for my show. So the first thing that I'm going to do is make some fondant, some rolling fondant. It's a very simple recipe with not that many ingredients. So what you need is, you'll need 2 tablespoons of butter, a half of a cup of corn syrup, a tablespoon of gelatin, a bag of powdered sugar, and some oil. The first thing that I'm going to do, also some water, is add a quarter of a cup of water to a saucepan, and I'm going to turn the heat on, and to that I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of gelatin. So this is about a little bit more than 1 package of gelatin, so I'm going to mix this up. The gelatin is melted with the water, and if you want, I suppose you could use a vegan gelatin. That's entirely up to you. So the next thing that I'm going to do is add all of the other ingredients together and then add the gelatin. So I'm going to add a half of a cup of corn syrup, a whole bag of powdered sugar that I'm going to sift, and a tablespoon of oil. Okay, so I'm going to add a half of a cup of corn syrup, a tablespoon of oil, sorry if the camera work is really bad, I'm doing this on my own, and then the bag of powdered sugar. So to do that, I'm going to sift it just like I would sift flour. So let me get it ready and then I'll show you how that's done. So I'm going to sift the whole 2 pounds of sugar, and then I will be back in just a second to show you what to do next. This is so much easier. Now that the powdered sugar has been sifted, I'm going to mix this with an electric mixer until it's all combined together. Next, you want to make sure that your gelatin is melted and add the melted gelatin into this mixture and beat it on low until it all comes together. Okay, so the recipe that I was following wasn't coming out right. So I added an additional half cup of corn syrup, another mixture of gelatin, and an additional cup of powdered sugar. And now it looks like this. It's really goopy and stuff. You can see, like, that's how hold on, there it is, see, it's like this, and that's how I want it to be, and usually how it's supposed to be, because you're going to put it in the refrigerator and let it chill. I'm going to let mine chill overnight, and I'm going to make the cakes right now and then let them chill overnight too, and then decorate the cake tomorrow. So I'm going to put this fondant in my refrigerator, and then I will be back in a minute to show you what kind of cake I'm making. Okay, now I'm going to be making a red velvet cake, and for this recipe you will need 2.5 cups of flour, 1.5 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of cocoa powder, a tablespoon of cocoa powder, 1.5 cups of oil, 1 cup of milk, 2 eggs, 2 eggs, vanilla, red food coloring, and vinegar. So a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of vinegar, 2 teaspoons of red food coloring. What I'm going to do is sift the dry ingredients into a large bowl, and the wet mix the wet ingredients in a small bowl, then combine them together. And I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have these square cake pans that I'm going to use. So I'm going to, instead of flouring and buttering my pans, I'm going to use this cooking spray that I just recently bought. It has flour in it and it works amazing. So I'm going to spray my pans, set them off to the side, and then start combining the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients. And this stuff smells amazing. It smells so good. In my sifter, I have 2 cups of flour, and I have about another half a cup around it, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of cocoa powder, and a teaspoon of baking soda. And I'm going to sift all of these ingredients together and then add my sugar. Now I've added 1 cup of sugar and another half cup of sugar. So I'm going to just quickly whisk this together and now move on to my wet ingredients. So for the wet ingredients, I'm going to add 2 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, sorry about the bad camera work, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1½ cups of oil, 1 cup of milk, and 2 teaspoons of red food coloring. So we want it to be nice and bright and red. So this is like almost 1 little bottle. Now I'm going to take my whisk this all together. And I am going to incorporate the 2 mixtures by slowly adding the wet into the dry mixture. Now that this is been gently mixed together, I'm going to mix it with my electric mixer for 2 minutes on medium speed. Oh geez. So as you could see before, the batter seemed really thick, so I added an extra cup of milk, and my electric mixer is broken, so I ended up just mixing this by hand. If you don't have an electric mixer, just mix it for about 250 strokes. Now I'm going to pour it into my prepared pans and bake it in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven. Okay, today is the next day, and I'm going to make a buttercream cream cheese frosting. So this is very simple. All you have to do is have 1 stick of softened butter, 2 ounces of cream cheese, a pound of powdered sugar, and I'm going to add a first thing to do is cream together the cream cheese and the butter. So just take your hand mixer and beat them together, and then add a small amount of powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of milk, and a teaspoon of vanilla. These are my 3 cakes. They've been in the refrigerator all night. I have 3 balls of fondant, so all I did was take the food coloring and just mix it in with the fondant like I would with cookie dough. You could refer to my Halloween cookies for techniques on how to do that. And then I have the frosting that I just made. So what I'm going to do is use my cake leveler and slice each cake in half, put a layer of frosting on there, and then I want to also reserve some for decorating. And then so to roll out the fondant, it's the same basic thing like if you were rolling out any other dough, but instead you're going to use cornstarch instead of flour. So I have cornstarch here, and this is my aqua ball, and it's chilled, so I had it in the refrigerator. I'm going to roll this out and then lay it on top of my large cake.
I already took a couple pictures of them. Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Well, my daughter's party is over, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and come back for more goodies. You will see me in the next video. Bye!